Good evening. You're flying with Pod Squadron podcast. All wings report in. Pod Job standing by.
Pod Job? Ooh, I'm boring old Pod Tracer standing by.
Padawan standing by.
All ships to attack formation. Mission objectives to talk about Star Wars in movies, streaming, animation, books, themed experiences, and your art and inspiration from the galaxy far, far away. Today's flight plan includes the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. And for all of you out there, all comm channels are open. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you know when we have new content. But first, I'll be your squad leader for today. I'm Andy Lowe, aka the Chinese Pirate. I am a director, storyteller, puppeteer, performer, and fight choreographer. On my wing, as always, is Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy, also known as Hot Nerd Girl, and I have officially given up on trying to train my cats how to use a toilet.
And on my other wing is Lexi. What are you training, Lexi?
Or trying to train a parrot out of 18 years of bad habits. I'll tell you how that goes. I might just sign on next time and be like, beep, beep, and then you'll know I failed.
Alrighty then, and we are missing our good friend Jason from at Beyond Forever Studios. He's away for the evening. Hope you're feeling better next week. He'll join us back.
Tank, Jason.
Yeah, back in the back to tank. Jason's in the back to tank. But he will be back to next week. And for today's opening bantha, we are just one squad in the fleet. We're part of the Geekish Network. That's right here on YouTube and on Facebook, the Geekish Network. As foils to attack position, we're going in. Good evening, everyone. So this is, of course, our first show of February, and February, as you know, is Black History Month. And just to kind of get us started, so every podcast here on the Geekish Network this month is going to be spotlighting different African-American inventors, gamers, creators, historical figures whose work and lives should be celebrated and known. And so tonight we are spotlighting Dr. Gladys Mae West. She was a pioneer of GPS technology. Now, Gladys Mae West was born in 1930. She earned a full ride to Virginia State University by graduating top of her class. She went on to study mathematics, eventually earning a master's degree in the subject, and not one to stop learning. After she retired in 2000, she worked steadily on securing a doctorate degree from Virginia Tech and eventually graduated with a PhD in public administration and policy affairs. Her accomplishments stood out to such an extent that West was hired by the United States Navy to serve as a programmer working as an analyst, and she began working directly with all the data coming in from various satellites to put together models of the Earth, heading teams that developed the most accurate models of the Earth that we have to this day. West spent nearly a decade putting together intricate algorithms using an IBM computer to include the effects of gravity and the tides and a whole host of other natural forces acting upon the planet, all through mathematics. And all of this work would become the basis for what we all know as modern GPS, which, of course, you navigate on your Google Maps or, a lot of geotags that activate on your phone, all of these things. Plus, of course, if you're a gamer, Pokemon Go, geocoaching, or the upcoming Minecraft Earth, that's all coming up. These are all things that have been developed from the starting point that Dr. West started. So
or if you're still using a Garmin.
Or you're still using a Garmin. But we would literally be lost without her work. So
and her name is
thank you,
Dr. West, like cardinal direction. Sometimes your name really does just nail it.
Like I had a dentist named Dr. Salvi. Yeah.
There was an anatomy teacher in my high school named Mr. Dick. I'm not kidding you guys. He taught anatomy and his name was Mr. Dick, and he was married. Sit with that one.
I always remember from what is the what is the Robin Williams movie, the teacher one? Why am I blanking on that movie?
Where they all stand up on the desks. Oh, Good Will Hunting.
No,
I thought they were all standing up on the desks.
Yeah, Captain
Captain
one.
Mike. Yeah.
Okay, we're not coming up with that movie, but I still love the line where he's handing out tests and he's like, giving them their grades, and he goes, "Mr. Pitts, rise above your name."
Dead Poet Society. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Yeah. So meaningful names are not just for the dead poets. Thank you, Rodney. Yeah. Meaningful names are not just for the Skywalkers and like other characters that get introduced in actually this episode of Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, the characters that you might call the bane of your own existence.
Oh.
But with that, shall we get into the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger.
Wah, wah, wah.
I shot the sheriff, and I also killed the deputy. All around in Freetown, Cobb Vanth shot 3 pikes down. And he told them no more spice on Tatooine as he kicked the chest into the Dune Sea. So Cad Bane, he shot the sheriff. And this, of course, happens after the Mandalorian.
Wow.
Din Djarin attempts to pay a visit to Grogu in the mist. What is that? In the midst of his Jedi training with Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. Gorilla in the mist? There's a gorilla in my mist.
You're thinking of Dagobah.
I'm thinking of Dagobah. Okay. Luke struggles with Grogu's focus as his attachment to Din distracts him. Din is greeted once again by no Jedi, Ahsoka Tano, who questions whether his visit is for the child or for himself. And pondering this thought, Din leaves his gift with her to rejoin Boba Fett on Tatooine. Boba Fett prepares for war with the Pikes. He's pulled together a ragtag force, but he needs foot soldiers to even the numbers. And Din hopes the people of Mos Pelgus might join them to free Tatooine from Pike control. But now, with Cobb Vanth down, the future is uncertain for all. Lastly, Luke Skywalker leaves Grogu with a choice. The Mandalorian Beskar chainmail or Yoda's lightsaber. The path of the Jedi and training free of emotions that can lead to the dark side, or the Mandalorian way. Will Grogu and Luke agree with Boba Fett that you can only get so far without a tribe? Sorry, I kind of stumbled through that.
Is it free of emotion or attachment? I think they are allowed to feel emotions.
Free of attachment. It was always kind of a thing where, like, in the prequels, right? There's also a line from Yoda in Empire Strikes Back when he's like, when you are calm. Oh gosh, what was the line? I don't know. He makes some very Vulcan-like requests of Luke, right? To be free of his emotion and his attachments, so that he does not act with passion. But
I prefer to think of this as being episode 5.5, Empire Awakens.
Empire Awakens.
Because it was kind of like Empire Strikes Back, but reversed, just kind of like Force Awakens was
yes.
like reverse.
I'll say that, like, as a foundling myself, like as an adopted child, like I really just Ahsoka's my favorite character, and it's just really all sorts of giddy, wonderful fan service to see her and Luke interact. But I want to slap the shit out of both of them right now. Like, if anybody was like, yes, you can choose your biological mother or the mother who raised you, I would be like, a big ol' you. And I'm taking both. So, I mean, if I were Grogu, I would take both. And also, not just because it would be really cool to see a miniature Yoda in Star Wars style Beskar mithril with a like little Yoda lightsaber being like just Yeah, that'd be really crazy. I need to see that. So I want him to take both.
I think that that's actually a possibility, because even Luke said it's not like I'm training him. It's like he's remembering. And we have to remember that Grogu is 50 years old.
Yeah.
He's had other training and other masters. He's just mentally blocking it a little bit, right?
Yeah. And then there's that, but then there's the other thing where if any good, like anybody who's had to go from a learner to a teacher position knows that when they get a talented student, it's almost like you're just helping them remember, and you're like, what am I really doing here? And I love that Ahsoka says sometimes the student guides the teacher, or whatever the version of that line was, because that's definitely a Clone Wars line, that someone said about her. And I don't know if she heard it and reused it, or if it's just something that she they're like having her echo. But it's very interesting because for us having seen the whole timeline, it's kind of like, I call it like Romeo and Juliet syndrome, because at the beginning they tell you that they're both going to die. And so the whole time you're reading through it or watching through it going, oh, come on, guys. Oh, no, don't do that. Right. And so I'm getting real like Romeo and Juliet syndrome, seeing the absolutism that Ahsoka and Luke are having a hard time letting go of, that does eventually lead to the destruction of the school at the hands of Ben.
Well, okay, to be fair, we don't really know, right? I mean, first of all, the story's not done yet, right?
No, not done.
We know that he has presented this choice, but we don't necessarily know what the intent is, right?
I mean, I would argue that no, we don't know the intent. I would not argue that, but I would argue that impact is more important than intent. And so I'm not saying Grogu's going to go dark or anything, but I'm just going, okay, I can see how maybe a different student presented with that kind of binary choice would fly off the handle, maybe like his nephew.
So Max brings up a good point. He says it really lends itself well to the Luke we meet in The Last Jedi, who's regretful about how rigid the Jedi teachings are. And maybe if Grogu had stayed, they would have been able to save the school.
That's what I was trying to say. Or even regardless whether or not he would have saved the school, but that could be, I'm like, oh yeah, I see, Luke in the future thinking about his regrets of how hardline he was with things. And maybe this is one of them.
Here's my thing. I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced that this is a hardline move, right? I mean, here's the thing: is that he, like his teachers before him, has developed various riddles for his student to figure out. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes, the questions are not so much about what is the answer, but more how you process it. How you process it. Sure. And so, I mean, the thing is, the fascinating thing about this is that, there is an old Buddhist kind of adage that when presented with any choice of two alternate options, there is always a third. When presented with the choice of two alternate actions, there is always a third choice that is inaction. Right. And so that's the thing, that is how you see past, any decision, any choice, is that there is every question is never about this or that. It is this, that, or
because sometimes you go, well, I won't play the zero-sum game.
Right. And, and for that matter, I mean, it is arguable that, this was the choice that Luke was offered, when he made a choice to leave Yoda behind and kind of sacrifice his training, for to leave Yoda behind to go help Han and Leia. So there is still but
he expected to come back. There's less stakes involved with that.
Well, he did make a failure, right? That's the thing, is that there was a failure there that he still had to make up for, and he was lucky he made it out alive. But this is not Luke is not completely inexperienced in this particular conundrum,
No,
Right.
he's not. I think I just think that we're seeing. I think we're getting the privilege of seeing part of that potential learning arc where, maybe he's still so far into his training where we see him kind of like Kanan in Rebels, just going, I don't know, my master said that to me, but in his own style. Like Kanan's a little more scrappy, and Luke had Opie and Yoda, and so he's got a little bit, but I think he's one of Luke's first students, if not the first.
Leia.
So
Leia.
Presumably Leia. Leia is
his first at this school.
Yeah.
I would consider training a sibling. I would consider helping train a sibling kind of different than having a regular student, though.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like training.
She had to become Space Mary Poppins somehow.
The power dynamics are different. Yeah, I get it.
Because like I wasn't raised with my younger brother, but if I had to teach him something, just like they weren't raised together, but if I had to teach my younger brother something, it would be a hell of a lot different than if I was to teach some other younger kid something. Some other college student something. It'd be very, very different.
I would be harder on my brother than I would other kids, though.
Yeah, exactly. So
because I'm the big sister.
Yeah. I mean, who knows?
So let's go a little broader with this. So overall, so we've talked a lot about kind of Luke's state of mind, training of Grogu. But I mean, what did you guys think of kind of the taking a step back and just kind of taking out what was your reaction once you realized, oh gosh, this is going to be, because I don't know about you guys, I did not expect to see Grogu this next episode.
I did not,
and B to actually have like a full arc with him and Luke.
It felt like it really. I mean, for me, like I know that there were a lot of mixed reactions, but for me, it bonded the show nicely even further to the rest of the world and to the Mandalorian series, as opposed to it being kind of a standalone miniseries. And it filled in a lot of the blanks for lore for me, just for character development, or not lore, but character development for me. Some like lost years. And I think the thing that like really got me was that I don't think we have seen the moment when Ahsoka learns that Luke is Anakin's son, but she knows.
But she knows.
It's made clear that she knows in this episode. And that was a really beautiful thing for me, just kind of confirmation of where she's like,
maybe we'll see that in her series.
Yeah, I mean, that was another cool thing.
Thank you, Tracy. I think they're teasing at that, and also speaking of which, I hope another thing that they're teasing at with bringing, just to jump ahead a hot second, I'm bringing in Cad Bane. I really hope that means they're teasing like Ezra Bridger in Ahsoka. Don't be cowards, guys. Give us Ezra Bridger.
Well, I mean, we already have an announcement for casting for Sabine Wren. So I mean,
that makes me happy.
Who is playing Sabine Wren?
I believe she is an Australian actress. I do not know her name off the top of my head, but she has been announced as cast as Sabine.
That's exciting.
Oh, I somehow missed that. Okay.
Yeah, she's like an Asian Australian or Australasian or whatever you would call that.
So
Natasha Lou Bordizzo or
Oh.
Bordizzo, depending on how you want to how she pronounces that.
Sounds part Italian.
Possibly.
Yeah. So I think it was pretty obvious. This is going into the Mandalorian, and Mandalorian's just not the same without Grogu. So I think and deep fake is very expensive and open to criticism. So I think it's obvious he's going to choose the Mithril shirt and to go with Mando, right? I think even though Mando stayed away, he saw the ship in the background and was like, come back.
I think it was a mistake not to let them. I was like, you guys are silly. You don't know how this works. You're just making him more curious.
Yes. If he'd been able to see him, I think that Mando could have reassured him and he could have focused in.
Yeah. That he wasn't abandoned because he's already got abandonment issues after like the Jedi Temple. Like, come on. Like, don't get
Speaking of which, Kevin says that Luke is probably being a little conservative with his training because all of his masters died.
I mean, just saying, right?
I'm not saying it's not justified. It's like this is one of his first students. All of his masters just died. He's very much in trying to like preserve what I just learned and not be untrue to it. And I know that tends to make younger teachers sometimes a little rigid, not entirely, but it's like they're trying very hard to do it right.
Well, here's the thing. He talks about a number of things within the training sequences, right? He talks about his ability to focus. He talks about, kind of his repressed memories. And he also talks a lot about balance, right? Mm-hmm. About the universe is dangerous and all things in nature find a balance. And the more you can find balance, the more you can center yourself, the more you can, the greater control of force and yourself you will have, right? And I think that's ultimately what he is trying to find with Grogu. So my theory, and let's say, I'm not going to say theory, my hope of what we see tomorrow is Grogu actually choosing the saber. And of course, in the middle of training, we get to see Grogu with a lightsaber, right? He loses concentration because through the Force, you will see people, places, possibly the future, and he has a vision much like Luke of the Mandalorian in danger. And of course, that is, basically put right there for Luke to re-experience himself in his own, in a dilemma that he has walked before, right?
I would not be surprised if they go that route because they already drew the role reversal of him carrying Grogu.
The backpack. He's doing front flips. He's doing his thing.
Then we'd get to see more green light sections in Grogu's eyes.
Yeah, but I mean, how cool would that be for him to go, for Luke to go? All right, so, you did choose the Jedi way, and that is what you're going to do. And, so that way you are focused on this, and that's what you want. But
as my Padawan, your mission is.
As my Padawan, I am going to go with you. I'm not going to leave you to this.
You know what would help in a dangerous universe? A mithril shirt.
Because Grogu is not going to be able to fly a ship on his own. So Luke would have to fly him there.
Gotta go with him.
Yeah.
Unless they find an extra excuse to let Ahsoka in.
Yeah.
But it'll be one of them, and that I can really see that because it'll be a role reversal, a really master, because and then it echoes what was said this time, in which sometimes the student teaches the master.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing too, I know that there are a lot of folks that are kind of trying to drawing a straight line in terms of Luke following the old Jedi ways to mistakes he makes with Ben. I think the opposite, actually. I think the mistakes with Ben was that he also put this pressure on Ben because of, as he talks about it, the famous Jedi blood that made him supposed to be a prodigy. Mm-hmm. And he imposed that pressure that was on him, and passed it on to his own attachments to his nephew.
Yeah.
Right. So, ultimately, I think, what I hope we see is his attempts to relax the Jedi ways, which ultimately sets him up for that later failure, because his attachment to his nephew is what kind of and that's the thing too, right? This is always, even like in martial arts, when teaching your kids is really hard, because am I your father or are you my student, right?
It's the same. My voice teacher, her mother did a lot of vocal work on pop tracks in the 80s, mm-hmm. and taught her how to sing, and she always swore, like, when I have kids, if they ever want to sing, I'm never teaching them. I hated learning from my mother. I hated practicing with my mother.
No.
Yeah. Same thing. She's like, nope. And it's like the same thing. Am I your child that you nurture and or like, are you the tough love coach right now? And it's a hard line to walk.
So like my fingers are crossed.
My mom was my preschool teacher. My mom was my preschool teacher.
Oh yeah.
And she always insisted that I call her Miss Kim when I called her mom at school. And so for the next 2 years, no matter where we were, I always called her Kim instead of mom. And she'd be like, well, you can call me mom now. And I'm like, okay, Kim.
You asked for this.
Yep. Dangerous territory.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk about in terms of Luke and the training and Ahsoka, Grogu?
There's so many other things to talk about in this episode. We spent like 20 minutes talking about the ending.
We should probably move on to something else. So let's talk about Cobb Vanth, man. Boy, did they lean into the Deadwood vibes.
Well, and a little bit the Mad Max vibes by calling it Freetown.
Well, that is a callback to actually the books actually. So the first time that you meet the character of Cobb Vanth is in Freetown, and so the Mos Pelgos title came later actually. So that's kind of bringing things back into alignment a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, is it Thunderdome where they're like, this is whatever town? What was it?
Oh, I can't remember. It's been a long time. I just hear Tina Turner's voice in my head. How about
Somebody
that
in the
deputy,
comments
man?
help me.
How about that deputy?
Oh my god, I wanted to punch her in the face from the get-go.
Like,
I'm so glad he died.
What
He's
a
gonna
nice
die.
cameo for his resume.
He was just missing a red shirt. It was kind of like
I know he's Tamara Morrison's stunt double.
Oh, he is. Oh, okay.
The guy is, yeah.
That's
But I was like, the whole time I was like, get out of here. Like,
like the way they set him up, I was like, like you're set up to not be a bad guy, but you're also set up to be kind of like that blowhard that is going to like put his foot out of line. And so I'm like, but just from then, like from a casting, directing, performance kind of trio, I'm looking at that going, oh, good for you, dude. Especially if he's like doing stunt work and trying to do more acting. I'm like, that's a good fucking role. People will be like, oh yeah, that dude, thank fucking God he died. They remember you. Good job.
Bartertown. It's Bartertown in Mad Max.
Oh, right. Okay.
Bartertown.
We also got to see Cobb Vanth take down a Pike drug deal, more or less, or spice deal.
Which was did you notice that? It was also really convenient way to show how fast of a draw Cad Bane was later.
Yeah.
What were you saying,
Tracy?
Did you notice his marshal stripes are the same stripes that were on the badge that they gave to Cara Dune at the end of Mandalorian?
I was wondering about that. I saw the stripes. I didn't think to look it up and to see if they matched.
Good eye.
But that's cool. So I do kind of wonder then, does he have any kind of official recognition? I don't know. It's Tatooine, so they're kind of far on the outer rim. But we do know that they're at least that they are at least patrolling, right, in Tatooine.
But it seems like kind of like the sheriff's badge in the Old West. It seems like those three stripes are kind of like the universal symbol for law enforcement.
Fair,
right?
That's some good catch, Tracy. That's good continuity on their part.
Right? And it wouldn't surprise me if the badge, if they took that, because it's kind of stuck at the bottom below the huge symbol. And so I almost wonder if they just kind of took that because it was the universal symbol and just kind of stuck it on there.
Yeah, I'm sure they've made those decisions and they're going, okay, this is the thing. I mean, that is an interesting thought. I mean, I hadn't thought about this before, but hopefully he doesn't die, and if he doesn't die, he that could set him up to fill some roles if they ever get back to Rangers of the New Republic.
I don't think he dies. I don't think he dies, and I will say that for several reasons. I mean, I could be wrong, but they could use his death to, because like the okay. So first of all, they have the bartender who was like, "This is none of our business."
Right.
And they also made a point to have that bartender come out and look really shook up, like, shit, I fucked up. I don't know about this anymore, right? So I'm kind of feeling that maybe they do get their garrison in the form of people either avenging Cobb Vanth, right? It's set up to they get their garrison. Either the garrison's the people of the town are gonna show up, Freetown is gonna show up to avenge Cobb Vanth. Or what I really think is gonna happen, based on the fact that they went out of their way to show the deputy take 3 shots to the chest. Versus Cobb Vanth take 1 shot to what looked like maybe the shoulder.
Right. Yeah, but his shooting arm shoulder. Yeah.
It's his shooting arm shoulder. But notice that Mando said, Din Djarin said, I want you to lead a garrison. He didn't say, I want you to be out on the front line. Like, he could still be a tactician. Cobb Vanth is smart. And also, it would be really fun to see him just be like, I'm a terrible shot with my left hand, and then, like, actually still be really good. Like, I can see them making
what if it's like, I just practice with my right hand, I'm really left-handed or something?
Yeah, some like Gene Wilder Blazing Saddles kind of thing.
Shoot with this hand.
Right?
I love how the girl like ran out and like took one look at the deputy and was like, and like ran
towards like, get a stem, get a stem.
He's the
I'm
new
not
guy.
dead yet.
He's the new guy.
Somebody compared it to Smithers and Burns on a bicycle crash, and they all came, and they like the medics came out and they only took Burns away, and like Smithers is like
that deputy's gone.
Let's talk about Cobb freaking Vanth, right? So Cobb Vanth introduced into live action in pretty much like the perfect way. Right. I mean, and of course, we know that, ultimately that scene with the Pikes is there. So we establish that, that Cobb Vanth is the fastest gun in Freetown or in Mos Pelgas. So that
Cobb Vanth shot first.
So that when we see Cad Bane show up, not only does he take on the fastest gun in Mos Pelgas, but someone else as well at the same time. Such a great intro.
Yeah,
Corey Burton returning to do his voice. Corey Burton, who is one of my favorite voice actors. The man has a ridiculous range and just is an amazing performer. If you don't know, he's also he sometimes subs in for the ghost hosts for the Haunted Mansion. Anytime they need someone to do Paul Frees, he's pretty much the guy they call, which means he works at Disney quite a bit. But he's an amazing performer.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time since Mandalorian, end of the season of Mandalorian, that I had to pause an episode twice to just be like, and the one was we had the really good like Cobb Vanth intro where I was like, fastest gun on Tatooine, and then Cad Bane shows up and I was like, oh shit.
When he's walking in, I was like, it's Cad Bane, it's Cad Bane. My boyfriend's just like, shut up, and I'm like, it's Cad Bane.
Yeah, no, yeah,
it's just
I paused it, I did the what, like.
Yeah, I mean, so many great details. By the way, this was the episode directed by Dave Filoni, of course. So as we can now expect, pretty much every time Dave Filoni directs, he's bringing in some of his favorites from the Clone Wars.
I was so worried that if they ever did a live action Cad Bane, that it would be very too like masky and cartoony. Like,
yeah,
every so often you get a Star Wars alien that definitely sounds like they're talking through a Party City mask, and most of the time they manage to not do that. But every so often you get one or two where you're like, really? And I was
and this, like, I mean, I was like, yeah, I watched the scene a couple times right away as well, just to watch the mouth move. I mean, like the articulation and just the way,
scarier than he is in it. And
oh my god, and the scowl in his brow is just fantastic.
So
A
good.
plus, A plus.
Yeah, I like he's an intimidating character. Like, and you know, any character that it doesn't matter if it's animated or what, but any character that's written believably to go toe to toe with a Jedi the caliber of Obi-Wan, you know, is pretty good on the intimidating factor. And then to be able to usually, a lot of times I feel like that's not always carried over. The presence is not carried over as well into live action, and they raised the bar. I was like, oh wow, you're scary.
Okay, I just gotta say though, something that did make me chuckle a little bit. So, you know, he's doing his whole intimidating thing, and he says, "I'd be careful where I was sticking my nose if I were you."
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what nose?
No.
He doesn't even have Voldemort slits. Like, he just is
And very quickly, I'm like, it doesn't matter. I can't keep on the. It's fine. I mean, also the other thing too is like I also love like my headcanon of like Cad Bane, you know, getting dropped off about like 8 miles.
Headcanon? Where?
Well, just getting dropped off like 8 miles out of town. So it's like, no, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be totally worth it. Just trudging through the desert.
Somebody did an animation from like a video game. Just like walking through the desert,
wearing all black, tattooing sons. By the time he gets there, he's just so fucking grumpy. The deputy mouse, fuck this dude. God damn it! I didn't sign up here. I'm not gonna pay enough for this shit.
That's good. But yeah, so of course we know that he's working for the Pikes. He says something really interesting. So he says to intimidate the people of Freetown, Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer who worked for the Empire, right? Which is, I just think is a really interesting line for him. You know, I mean, Cad Bane, who has worked for many questionable forces, or anyone who paid well enough. In fact, wait, he worked for Sidious a few times too.
That's actually funny because that's basically him being like, look, guys, this guy's not who you think he is. He used to be my coworker.
Yeah. But yeah, now he's working for the Pikes, and of course, immediately after we see him take down Cobb Vanth and the deputy, we see Garsa's sanctuary get like a mob style hit. Right?
God, is she okay? I need to know.
Yeah, I
saw
really
that coming from a million miles away, though, right?
I did, but I still need to know if she's okay.
Because I would like, I want to.
Because either she could have seen it coming from a million miles away and dived behind the bar, or like, it's just real sad.
What's in the Cantono? Who knows?
A lot of ice cream makers were harmed in the making of this episode, by the way.
But luckily,
at least 2.
Max Rebo was fine because we did not see a single shot of him. So Max Rebo lives. Maybe Max Rebo works for the Pikes. Maybe he was like, you know.
maybe he's psychic or something. I don't know. That or like the luckiest
to survive the sail
world.
Barge crashing and the attack on Garza's sanctuary.
Yep.
That's so lucky.
All right, so let's wrap this up. What
Already? There's so much still to talk about.
There's so much. Well, yeah. So what? Anything that you wanna highlight?
Yes.
Spotlight.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I was going to talk about the planet, whether it's identified or whether it's Alfrana, but that's like a whole other conversation that we could go for like another 15 minutes. So I'm going to avoid that for right now.
They were training on.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But so instead of focus on. We saw a nerf. When Mando lands, you briefly see R2-D2 in the bubble. I don't know if you guys saw that, notice that. Okay. Yeah. So we can talk about that. Let's talk about the ant droids, and they're the same color scheme as R2-D2.
Right.
Oh, and we have Grogu's flashback where we see some of like his Jedi masters, Order 66. Like,
okay. So that one. Okay. So that one. I have a whole thing about this.
I didn't see. Go ahead and do it.
No, go ahead.
No. You go, because I'll respond to it.
I was gonna say, if you talk, I might shoot you down. So let's see here. I'm sorry, that was bad. Okay, so the 3 Jedi that are killed, there's a whole theory that the one in the middle is Cynic Dralig, right? Who was like the battle master of the temple. And everybody's talking about whether or not, you see Anakin technically cut him down in the hologram, but maybe that may have been him. And Grogu is obviously looking out from something. So is he in R2-D2? Is he hiding? Is he somehow putting up some kind of force field using the force? Because the 501st troopers obviously don't see him because they're just like, okay, let's go. And they're not like, hey, look, there's a kid there that hasn't been cut down yet.
Yeah.
There's also the theory that he's been rescued by Mace Windu, right? Because we see Mace Windu fall, but we see a lot of people fall, and we didn't necessarily see him die. Mm-hmm. There's the librarian thing, but of course in the comics, like we see her like trying to reestablish the Jedi Order. So who knows? Anyway.
Okay, I that's not what I thought you were going to call out.
Oh, what did you think I was going to call out?
So I have heard about this, I've read about this, and I went back. I could not see this for the life of me. But Star Wars Explained pointed out that some people have spotted in the scene that there is a logo on a door that seems to resemble Barriss Offee's like face diamond pattern, and wondering if that is a tease for Barriss Offee. Like, because we still don't know what happened to her in Order 66. Like, we don't know if she got killed, if she was just stuck in the jail cell in the Jedi Temple this whole time. If
is she the one who, like, she's stuck in the wall and they use her to, like, lure Jedi? Is that who that is?
Barriss Offee,
the same species, though. The same
species, yeah. So Barriss Offee was basically Ahsoka's friend, and then eventually was the person who framed her. And how she got kicked out of the Jedi Order. And she was the one who was basically like, the Jedi are corrupt. Jedi have become soldiers in this thing and have left the Jedi way.
Wait, Ahsoka wasn't kicked out, though. Ahsoka left. Or you're saying that Barriss was kicked out?
She was pardoned and was like,
yeah,
I don't even want your pardon.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I am not putting your little rat tail back on. Screw that.
Yeah. So the reason that you were thinking that they were this, that was her, and what was the master who you were talking about? Was
Cynic Dralig?
No, the one that had the Barriss Offee, the diamonds.
That
was a different master, but they were both Mary Allen. That's the species, is Mary Allen.
Oh yeah, the master who was in the wall. Yeah, no, but so anyway,
Luminara.
so someone said that they spotted this pattern that could be a logo hinting that maybe she's in a cell, or maybe that scene takes place in a cell somewhere, and could possibly Barriss Offee be somehow connected to Grogu's escape, which would be kind of crazy and interesting stuff to set up for Ahsoka's series if Barriss comes back. But who knows? That's a reach.
There's a lot of possibilities there, though.
Anything else you wanna call out or point out?
Did anybody else cringe when Ahsoka said that the school was the safest place in the galaxy?
Yeah.
Oh, the irony! Isn't it ironic?
We saw we see the crate dragon, right? That's being repurposed quite a bit. We see
the skull.
The Jawas have the skull, and I think those are the same Jawas that help rebuild the ship, because he like did a flyby, and they're like, "Yeah!" instead of being like, "Boo, you killed some of us last season."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those were the same, and I'm pretty sure that it might also be inferred that since they know him and are aware of him, that the crate dragon that he helped kill, that's obviously its skull, and so they knew where it was, because they were like, oh, Mando's like on a job over there, let's see who left behind. And they went and took the crate dragon skull.
Well, and of course, and we also see the rib cage is in the cantina of
yeah, because I mean, wasn't that the village that he helped?
Yeah.
Cobb Van helped with that, and that was why that was the original. He gave up his armor, right?
That's the other reason why I don't think that he's dead, is because they spent enough money to have him come back. They spent enough money to establish a whole Freetown location. So
I'll say this: when I was watching and then I saw the silhouette, the second time the silhouette pops up, I'm like, oh shit, that's gonna be Cad Bane. Is this gonna be Cad Bane? And then like you see a shot where it's clearly Cad Bane. I'm like, yes, it's Cad Bane. And then I was like, oh, fuck. Cobb Vanth is screwed. And I was like, no.
Yeah, no,
So
he was. I was like, oh, Cad Bane. Oh, Cad Bane. Oh.
But he was only screwed because he had to glance at the deputy, that fucking deputy.
He said, go inside. Like, I saw that look, and he was like, God damn it, man. I said, go inside.
Yeah, that's
you can only do so much, bro.
The look on Timothy Oliphant's face was actually pretty priceless. Well performed, where he's just like, God, idiot.
Like,
this is gonna suck. Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna have to get a new deputy. God.
But yeah, you know, I don't know. I mean, if this is how he dies, I think it's a fitting death. I don't want him to die, and I think there's definitely more to do with that
No, he's
character.
not dead. He just got shot in the shoulder. He's fine.
They'll
Star Wars.
spray him. They'll back to spray him.
Yeah. We'll see.
They'll back to spray him, and he'll recover, and then he'll be like, "You were right, Mando." And the bartender will be like, "Yeah, we back you." All right.
And I only have one last thing. I have other things, but they're small. The last thing is that I thought I saw books in the background when the ant droids had kind of built up the main part of the beehive. I thought that they saw like a little niche in the wall where there might be a couple books, but it was very, very dark. I paused, saw a couple little things in there, but I was wondering if that was the collection, like the start of the collection of all those Jedi
ancient
texts.
Jedi texts.
Yeah, because we know he was out searching for them, right? I think he was out searching for them when he heard Grogu's call.
Yeah.
Right.
I do have some comments in the chat if you want me to read them.
Yeah, let's do it. We've got just a couple minutes more.
Okay. So Kevin said, I like how Mandalorians are like, this should only be used for armor, and Jedi are like, you only need the Force, which lightsabers are a part of to protect you, but are endangered ways of life. I don't know. I think that you could use both. I think that the Jedi in the temple probably would have made out better if they had a mithril Beskar jacket on. Max said he talked...
Or if they used like kyber crystals to power Force shields, like... around them.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. Max said he talked about his moment of pure instinct when he almost killed Ben. Yoda told Obi-Wan to kill Anakin. Obi-Wan told Luke to kill Vader. The Jedi teachings were secretly pretty sinister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's true.
Well, any purist, and I think it's something that's kind of moving towards, and I hope that Filoni leans into with his creation of the Bendu, is and you know, the new trilogy, like it or not, leaning into a blending of the old and new ways, not being so hardline.
Well, just other ways, right? I mean, these cannot be the only two sects.
Yeah.
Of
you said sex.
Sects.
But basically, being like a binary choice. A binary choice holds people hostage, and then I hope that's kind of what that's moving towards.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Okay, so Kevin said that, what do you say? Oh, I wasn't expecting Cat on the Cob this episode. And that Cat parked where he was supposed to, unlike Mando. That's why he had to walk.
No parking. That's just like LA. That's just like, you know, I walked to town in LA.
Seriously. Yeah. No wonder everybody was okay with him getting shot his first age. You can't park here.
Max really wants Garza to be okay, but that was a lot of fire.
I want her to be okay too.
Kevin has a conspiracy
behind the bar, and that it's made of really sturdy stuff.
Kevin has a conspiracy theory that Max Rebo is behind everything, and that's why he never gets hurt.
Max Rebo is a Sith Lord. So...
And yes, it was with his 2 feet. He's.
Okay, I get this.
Oh wait, we lost.
It took me a second, but he gave Drew Barrymore all through Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh my gosh.
When he was looking at the deputy. True. It's true.
Okay, so we're just about done. Your guys' predictions for final episode.
Oh, I thought I just...
Big battle. Boba riding a Rancor. Not Yoda, Baby Yoda, Grogu skipping around on the Rancor, helping to fight off Pikes.
That might be a Deus Ex Machina, Luke and Grogu at the last minute. I could see that happening, or Grogu and Ahsoka. I really hope that they give Tamora Morrison something good.
Oh, they will. They totally will.
Do you think Boba Fett will be in the next season of Mandalorian?
Cad Bane Boba Fight to redeem him, and I think that would be right on the money.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's
blue ass.
I mean, that's my prediction is that they somehow refer to or canonize the unfinished Clone Wars story arc where because that's a bit of lore that the dent in Boba Fett's helmet is from Cad Bane's shot, and in theory, Cad Bane should have a steel plate because when they both drew and both hit each other in the head and survived. But
Kevin thinks that Boba Fett will have 2 minutes of screen time.
It's just like, side note, funny, you guys, when I was editing the graphics for this week, I pulled up an old template and it just happened to be one with Cad Bane in it animated.
Very good.
That was coming full circle.
Okay, and then what do we think? What are our odds on crazy like cameo? Because people have been betting on Kira. People have been betting on Han Solo. There are some people actually even betting on like Han Solo, Luke, and Leia for like a one-shot thing. Darth Maul is another thing because are we teasing the Crimson Dawn stuff there? Any thoughts on any of that?
Can we get a scene? Can we get the scene where Ben is consummated? I don't know.
That's on a different streaming service.
That's a very good.
Any other predictions?
No.
I don't know. Okay, I'm just excited. I'm looking forward to it.
I feel like I talked my theories out in the first half.
I'm looking forward to this. I know that there's some frustration in terms of how much Boba Fett has been in the book of Boba Fett. But I mean, there's a lot of when they're trying to connect all these dots, it's like there's a lot of things to establish. So
where's the book?
And
there's no book.
Well, I mean, that's why each episode is called a chapter, and
Okay.
Yeah, and I would take that as like kind of his. It's very interesting because in terms of Disney characters, he's reminding me a little bit of Barbossa. Where he gets introduced as this absolute baddie, and then like by the end he's like, I'm like a puppy dog, an angry one. Arr, angry puppy dog. I have rabies.
Well, okay, I mean, but that's the thing, though, right? The arc of the series has really been about, scoundrels who find a new life for themselves when they discover their tribe. Yeah. And, Star Wars has been about found families since the very beginning. Potentially, I mean, I think, we're seeing, we've seen, like, various parts of this found family of
yes.
as he rallies for war and what his position on Tatooine and what that means for the galaxy. I think is all very interesting.
I hope they can successfully connect those dots because, for people who aren't necessarily studying narrative or well versed in studying narrative, because not every Star Wars fan is, some people are just like there for the ride and the pew pew, and that's fantastic. Like you got to some people just like they who cares why people like what they like? I don't care. I like what, right? So hopefully it still resonates.
Yeah.
Because I think for me it really does. It takes a character that before had no personality except I'm an effective killer, which is that's not a character. That's like a character breakdown. And
But that's what allowed people's imaginations to run wild with it, right? And assign him personality traits.
And so I think that some of the disappointment we're seeing is because people's imaginations ran wild, and therefore a lot of people were disappointed. And so even though the alternative that Disney has presented is like not horrible, it's not bad, it's justified. And I've enjoyed the ride, even if I thought that there were a lot of places where they could have made stronger choices so far. But I'm still gonna enjoy watching next week and seeing this found family that he's pulled together, as somebody who is, adopted and like who's very big on like found family. So I think that's great, and I really hope that they tie it together and justify it well enough, not just for like the storytellers, but for the audience member who's there for the action.
Well, we will find out. Of course, Book of Boba Fett episode 7 or chapter 7 airs tomorrow night at midnight. And I'm sure many of us will not be able to be patient, unlike Luke's requests that we be patient.
Y'all are crazy. I gotta work the next day.
And we'll be back talking about it next week on the same time, 6:30 p.m. on Monday. We will be joined by our good friend Mr. Benjamin Johnson from Show vs. Business will be on board with us. Mr. Benja co-founded the show with us, so it's great to have him back to talk about the final episode, as well as just kind of reflect on the whole series and some of what Lex is talking about. Did it succeed in bringing all of the threads together and as a thematic piece? And we'll probably talk about what is coming up. There are some rumors around about what we are expecting up next, about Obi-Wan, Bad Batch, Andor, Mando Season 3, and let's bring on the folks from Geek Beast. They are coming up as well, but they're coming up much sooner than any of those things. They're coming up right now. Welcome, Chuck and Trey from Geek Beast. And Summer. Welcome. We are here with the Crosstalk. And we so yes, we have been just talking about the episode, the chapter 6 of Book of Boba Fett. We were talking about what we're hoping to see and what we're expecting for for the season finale next week. But you guys are talking about geek news. What are the latest news stories that you guys are talking about today?
Latest news stories. I think it's probably some other monster acquisition that happened this week to by surprise. I don't know, actually. I just expect to see something just as huge, like, Apple acquires Facebook in video game industry, something that doesn't make any sense. We'll have to get some analysis on it.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of crazy things happening overall.
There's positive video game news.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Theft Auto 6 is in active development.
Oh, it's not positive unless they got some real dates.
Surprise!
How long we been since 2013? Right, was the last time they made a brand new
3 generations, baby. They created
positive.
I want to see a character named Guy. I'll be very disappointed if there's not.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I wonder what it's gonna be about. A rumor is that there may be a woman protagonist in this one.
Cool.
And they thought about
how progressive of Rockstar.
Oh my God!
Sorry, I'm rolling. She's still,
I know, right?
Does like?
Can you believe it?
The hookers? Like,
I was gonna say, can you go hang out with a bunch of gigolos?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I would hope so.
I would hope so.
They're really progressive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If only we could do more of this.
Rumor is that it may be in DC, and it may take place during the previous administration.
Oh. Those are some very.
That's interesting.
Riot on the Capitol?
Where'd you hear that?
I can't say where I heard that from.
Okay.
Can you kill certain people in the previous administration?
I don't think so. I don't think you kill anybody in the previous administration.
And just like that, the FBI is tapped.
I know.
Hey guys, careful, I'm Arab.
I was just kidding.
So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. So we'll talk
We're talking about
that
Palpatine, the Palpatine administration.
The Palpatine, yes.
Yes.
Speaking of Star Wars, what did you all think of the last episode of the Boba Fett, the Book of Boba?
Oh,
We
you
just
mean
talked about it for an hour.
1 point, talking about Mandalorian 1.5?
No, it's Star Wars episode 5.5.
Yes.
Like, how do y'all feel about the split? The last two episodes are definitely not Boba Fett episodes.
So this was my theory. My theory after the last the episode 5 came out was that the original plan was for Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian to be airing simultaneously, and Disney Plus is like, nah, we need to stretch this out. I know you've got like a three episode miniseries. I need you to stretch that shit out to like a 7 episode like full thing, and that's and that would explain why chapters 1 through 4 feel kind of goofy with the pacing.
It would
and
explain why a lot of that information kind of comes staggered too.
Yeah.
And then the tone shift, not even just like focusing on different character, but there's a tone shift with the kind of the way Dave Filoni and Bryce Dallas Howard are directing their episodes that feels like The Mandalorian. So I was like, okay, they took these scripts, these were part of Mando season 3, and they just kind of crammed it together to make it. So that's my like inside baseball opinion of what I think has happened.
It was story bits that needed somewhere to go, and production wanted it kind of restructured because production is
It feels
the two are just gonna be blurred. They're just gonna be like this.
But all in all, I'm still enjoying it.
Out of the 6 episodes that we've been presented, 2 of them don't really have anything to do with them. So that is a third of your show that has nothing to do with the headliner of your show. That's a problem. I mean, you can sugarcoat it all you want and try to dance around it, but if a third of your show doesn't have anything to do with the universe, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I love Rodriguez. I'm a Rodriguez fan, and I want him to win. At the end of the day, we all want
called it the Book of Fennec Shand.
Yes, that's what they should have called it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, they shouldn't have called it this. They should have called it something else.
Doing, but there's more Fennec Shand than Boba in the whole show.
Absolutely,
and I'm not complaining about that either.
Deservingly so. I think Fennec Shand is the star of this show so far.
I still, I still really enjoyed his whole arc with the Tuskens,
I'm enjoying it.
And I think ultimately it got a raw deal because that arc was cut up and spread out, so you didn't get to feel kind of the urgency of that arc go through. The other thing that I was talking to Mr. Benja this past week too, right? The other thing that I think they were trying to do was because they're trying to do, we're doing a mob film, right? They're trying to do this kind of Godfather 2 thing with the flashbacks and how the past informs present. And it just, the things, like the thematic bits don't quite line up. But it's like, I see what they're trying to do. I just, theme versus or concept versus execution.
And then they went to Kung Fu Theater for the last 2 Mandalorian episodes.
But, I don't don't get me wrong. I think that I've really enjoyed what Tamora Morrison is doing in this show, and I have been amazed with what he's done with this. Andy has said the phrasing he used, what I believe to be kind of a raw deal. And
just wait till episode 7. It's all gonna come together in episode 7.
And I believe that.
Well,
I think seven's gonna deliver on a lot of fronts.
I do too.
I think he's done a phenomenal job. Like people forget that this dude is 60 years old. Like, and he's in the dirt,
right?
Like rolling around with a bunch of kids and selling it. So I think he is the shining star of it. But I just don't think they are giving him enough to make the story work.
Who wouldn't hit that? Who wouldn't hit that 60-year-old?
Well, we will find out. We will find out in a couple of days, and we will talk about it next week, right here on Pod Squadron, 6:30 on Monday. We're going to talk about Chapter 7. We're going to be joined by Mr. Benja from Show versus Business. We'll talk about all of that stuff, and also we want to see all of your Star Wars creations. Do you cosplay, make fan films, build droids, build models, sell stuff on Etsy? Show us how Star Wars has inspired you, and we might feature you here on the show. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're here on the Geekish Network next week, every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. You can follow Geekish Network on YouTube, Facebook, and subscribe to this channel. And thanks for joining us here on Monday nights. Check out the schedules for all the other great shows, including Geek Beast, which starts right now. So stick around for that. And thanks on the flight deck to Rodney, and we're the Pod Squadron. Please check out all of our content on podsquadron.com. Like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. For podcast subscriptions, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. And I am the Chinese Pirate at Chinese Pirate _ on all platforms.
Andy, breathe. I am Tracy, also known as Hot Nerd Girl. If you Google Hot Nerd Girl, you'll find me.
Hi guys, you guys can find me on Instagram at Feral Geek Aesthetic. Facebook as well. I am a multidisciplinary artist, and I do geek and nerd adjacent things.
And of course, look for Jason at Beyond Forever Studios. All wings return to base. Of course, laid in and prepared to make the jump to light speed on my mark. And remember, the truths we cling to depend on your own point of view. Only the Sith deal in absolutes, like lightsabers or armor. Good night, everyone.